Overhead wire issues suspended service for NJ Transit.
Jersey Transit telling customers to expect delays, cancellations, or combined trains.
A nightmare commute for many.
System failure caused by overhead wire issues.
New Northeast corridor suspended between Trenton and Rahway.
Trains into and out of Penn Station are suspended.
Overhead wire issues and a disabled train shut down service into and out of Penn Station.
Suspended service.
Heat-related delays and cancellations.
Overhead wire issues.
From 2017 to 2021, New York City suffered one of the worst transit crises they've ever seen. Often referred to as the Summers of Hell, over this 4-year period, the New York City subway suffered severe issues in reliability and overcrowding, stemmed by the dilapidated infrastructure and lack of funding for regular maintenance and renewal. In 2017, only 65% of weekday subways actually reached their destination on time. New York City buses were also affected, as well as commuter rail in and out of Penn Station, New York due to Amtrak issues. The service and conditions got so bad that former Governor Cuomo declared a state of emergency for the MTA. Yes, a state of emergency because the trains were that bad. The crisis was primarily attributed to a lack of funding, slow signals, and ignored infrastructure, primarily due to the lack of financial inflow from state and city level governments. The MTA went through 2 chairmen, Joe Lhota and Andy Byford, and multiple action plans and a whole pandemic before they finally recovered their services. For the most part, it's nothing pretty, but it gets the job done. Funding was the biggest problem for the leaders of the New York City subway. There was no single source at the time that would give them enough money to keep the subway running efficiently. Former Governor Cuomo did begin the process for congestion pricing, which would add $17 billion to the MTA's operational budget. But as you all know, Governor Hochul has indefinitely postponed it. Let me know if you'd like a video focusing on New York City's congestion pricing dilemma by commenting below. But the focus of this video isn't necessarily the problems that the New York City subway is having right now. It's actually not doing terribly. The MTA is delivering a consistent 92% or greater of scheduled service, and the amount of average additional time customers have to remain on a train versus the schedule is just a hair below 30 seconds, a stark decrease from the pre-pandemic numbers. The focus of this video is the regional rail issues in the area, namely New Jersey Transit and Amtrak on the west side of the Hudson. While New Jersey Transit service under the Hudson to Penn Station was never anything particularly special or amazing, it worked, most of the time. But as we've continued into June, where we've seen record high heats in the New York City metro area, shooting upwards of 100 degrees Fahrenheit for days on end, New Jersey Transit's on-time rail performance has dived to just 80% in June 2024. For context, in May 2024, the system's OTP was 90%. And it gets worse when we analyze per-line data. Lines like the Atlantic City, Maine Bergen, and Raritan Valley kept the averages high at on-time performances of 92%. But services that regularly interact with Amtrak's Northeast Corridor, like the New Jersey Transit Northeast Corridor line or the North Jersey Coast Line, dived to just 77%. That means roughly 25% or a quarter of all scheduled trains are missing their scheduled times at stations. Again, this is a dive compared to May's statistics, which stood at about 85% OTP for both lines. On the NJCL, just 79% of trains were reported within 6 minutes of their expected schedule, a shocking decline from the targeted 94.7% that NJ Transit has listed. As for the Northeast Corridor, their data isn't even available for June 2024. New Jersey Transit also keeps track of the causes for cancellations in their system, which reflected a more than 2-fold increase of cancellations attributed to Amtrak. Together with mechanical issues, these 2 routes make up nearly 85% of all New Jersey Transit cancellations for the month of June. In May, these 2 made up a total closer to just 60%. But New Jersey Transit blames Amtrak a lot. Like a lot. There's a point where we start to think that New Jersey Transit would blame Amtrak for just existing, which seems like a real possibility right now. But in fairness, that's not that far-fetched. New Jersey Transit's more heavily used lines travel primarily on the Amtrak Northeast Corridor, the 457-mile rail line stretching from Boston to Washington, which is mostly owned and maintained by Amtrak. That's exacerbated by the fact that the machinery and trackage between Newark Penn Station in New Jersey and New York Penn Station in Midtown Manhattan is some of the oldest on the corridor, dating back to 1905, and Amtrak, being the usual Amtrak, hasn't done much to revolutionize the stretch of track, more so just make the baseline repairs needed to keep it mostly functional. But the last 2 months have severely exaggerated the aging infrastructure. New Jersey has experienced one of the record highest heat waves ever, surging temperatures to 105 or higher for days on end. It started at the end of May, with consistent 60-minute delays due to Amtrak overhead wire issues or suspensions because of disabled trains. At its peak, more than half of the days in June had a 30-minute or greater delay to New Jersey Transit operations in and out of Penn Station, New York. Most of the issues have come through the Catenary system, the system that delivers electricity to the railway. The Catenary system dates almost as far as the North River tunnels, with electrification enacted on the corridor between 1910 and 1920. The electrification is sent through overhead wires, where trains connect to electricity via pantographs above engines and EMUs. The system is so old that south of New York City, the system operates on a 25 Hz frequency, lower than the standard 60 Hz frequency, because the corridor was electrified before the standard for the North American power grid was even established. The Northeast Corridor's catenary system operates by having the electrified line hang from carrier wires, holding it somewhat in place. But this means that between the carrier wires, there is not enough tension to keep the wire taut. Newer cables now rely on constant tension, which keeps the wire tense, meaning there is no sag. When temperatures rise, the older wire style starts to see sagging between the carrier wires, as it droops lower and lower. New Jersey Transit requires heavy usage of the overhead wire, given the amount of trains they run and the fact that diesel engines can't be used through the North River tunnels. This increases the risk for a pantograph strike with the sagging wires, which can disable a train. This is often what New Jersey Transit commonly labels as Amtrak overhead wire issues. Compounding this is the state of the tunnels themselves. At over 110 years old, they require continuous and constant repair to keep up with the hustle and bustle of the New York City area. But they have been in a state of complete failure since 2012, when Superstorm Sandy flooded the tunnels with seawater, corroding the inside electrics and trackage. For the sake of millions of commuters and travelers within the New York City area, the hope is that these faults are fast rectified, but more likely they won't be, and America's most populated city may be in for another summer from hell. Thank you for watching today's video. If you enjoyed and would like to see more content, please be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Comment below any new video ideas you'd like to see on the channel. Thanks again and have a great day.